I run 17 miles every morning. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the wintertime. I leave them in my locker.
Today's video is going to be a very special one because it is our very first dive into business stories and strategies. This is a story that is not just an inspiration for you and I, but have gone on to inspire legends like Steve Jobs, Rihanna, and many others. In 1996, when Steve Jobs returned to Apple, the company was on the verge of going bankrupt because it has had 11 years of consecutive failures. And so by the time Steve Jobs was returning to Apple, investors had lost faith. Nobody believed that Apple was going to make it. One of the greatest challenges it faced was its reputation, and so Steve Jobs knew that he had to do something drastic to restore the image of the company. Guess what he did? He came up with a legendary campaign known as the Think Different campaign, which went on to become one of the greatest marketing campaigns of all times. This campaign restored the trust people had in Apple and can arguably be said to have helped Apple become a $1 trillion company that it is today. But it doesn't end there. Just now look back at what Steve Jobs was thinking when he came up with the Think Different campaign, and immediately one can see the inspiration behind it. Steve Jobs had in the past referenced Nike as one of its biggest inspirations in the world of business. Also, it makes us to wonder what exactly was so special about a company that sells shoes to the point of inspiring legends like Steve Jobs, Rihanna, and many others. And so today, we are going to unpack the exact strategies employed by Nike to become the greatest in the world of shoes. The real story behind Nike's rise, even though it began with just a 3-letter words, yet the story is way more than a slogan. Friends, it is about emotions, it is about movement, but most importantly, it is about marketing genius. Today, we are diving into how Nike turned sneakers into symbols and arts into global mantras. And so, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, kindly do so now and turn on notification because it really helps this channel to grow. And if you've already done so, thank you so much. What if I told you that the greatest marketing campaigns of all time came from a 3-letter word? Just do it. Let me take you back a bit to the late 1980s when Nike was of course known but not quite dominant. Sure, they were in the game, but they weren't the culture-defining giants that we know today. At that time, fitness had of course taken over. Everyone was jumping on the trend. Jogging, aerobics, gyms were popping out like mushrooms after it rains. People were swapping loafers for sneakers, and suddenly athletic shoes weren't just for athletes, they were for everyone. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Brands like Reebok and Adidas were all fighting for attention, battling over who had better foams, the springier soles, and the most aerodynamic laces. I mean, it was all about the technical stuff, materials, performance, engineering. Nothing special at all. And Nike at the time was doing same. Their ads focused on shoes and sponsored athletes, very conventional and uninspiring. Their marketing strategy at that time may have sold a few shoes, but it didn't really connect with people. Because the truth is, people didn't just want to buy sneakers. They wanted more than a product. They really wanted to connect to a brand that spoke to their dreams, their insecurities, their challenges, and their goals. Nobody actually wanted to be told what the shoes they were wearing was made of or made from anymore. Like they were fed up with all of those noise. And that's when Nike had this breakthrough. One phrase that would become 3 of the most powerful words in modern marketing. And trust me, nothing was ever the same again. So Nike was looking to level up, not just in sales, but in culture. And so they hired a man called Dan Weeden, the co-founder of the now iconic agency, Weeden and Kennedy, to create a campaign that would launch the brand into the stratosphere. And guess what he came up with? You already know it. Just do it. Now, here's what makes this tagline powerful. It wasn't crafted in a boardroom with graphs and charts. It wasn't focused on shoe specs, athletes, stature, or fancy tech. It was focused on you, on that voice in your head that says, I'm tired, I'm scared, I don't feel ready. Then comes that reply, just do it. That's it. No excuse, no perfection, just action. It was bold, it was clear, and it was for everyone. not just for the elite athletes. And here is even where it gets more interesting. Rather than hire a superstar to launch the campaign as every other brand did in those days, Nike chose to feature an 80-year-old man just jogging across the Golden Gate Bridge. Yes, 80 years, jogging in slow motion, smiling and full of life. His name was Wild Stark, a regular guy with an extraordinary mindset. Nike was obviously making a statement. This brand is not just for the fast. It is for the brave. It is for you, no matter your age, size, gender, background, or ability. This campaign was a massive shift from Nike's old playbook. Nike was no longer just celebrating winnings. They were celebrating the courage to actually try. And you know what happened after this? Nike overnight became a motivational coach, a movement, and a mantra. They stopped selling shoes and they started selling a belief, a mindset, a message, and a movement. And that's why Just Do It didn't feel like an ad. It actually felt like a life philosophy. It was simple, it was relatable, and it was universal. Nike didn't just tell you to believe in them, they told you to believe in yourself. And that, my friend, is a marketing magic. Now let's talk about what made Nike's campaign a marketing masterclass that has evolved over the years to the point that legends even make reference to Nike. The Just Do It words wasn't just a slogan, it was a complete strategy, a perfectly executed fusion of psychology, purpose, and storytelling. Let me break it down for you. The first marketing psychology that can be seen here is emotional branding. Nike suddenly understood something powerful, that people don't just buy things, they buy belief. This campaign wasn't about shoes or the soles or the specs. It was about overcoming your fears, beating doubt, and pushing your limits. It tapped into the raw emotions of motivation, identity, and determination and made you feel like you were part of something bigger. It didn't say, here is a shoe. It said, here is who you could become. Now, here's something I find really interesting. When you study what made Nike's Just Do It campaign powerful, the emotional branding, the inclusive messaging, the sense of identity and movement, you start to see those same exact strategies show up in newer, equally iconic brands like Apple, Fenty Beauty, and so many more brands. And by the way, I'm going to unpack Fenty's Beauty in a subsequent episode. Once you understand the emotional blueprint behind campaigns like Nike, you can begin to apply it to your own business. Whether you're building a personal brand, a fashion label, a coaching business, or a tech product, what people are buying is not just what you do, but how you make them feel. And when you tap into this, you will realize that you have stopped chasing customers and you have started building a community. The second marketing psychology is the use of inclusive messaging. Instead of showing us just elite athletes, they featured real people, all ages, backgrounds, body types, and abilities. From marathon runners to wheelchair athletes, they sent one powerful message. You belong to this story too. By doing this, Nike didn't just widen its audience, it built a community, one where everyone felt like a champion. And the third marketing strategy Nike introduced here was celebrity influence. Of course, Nike had legends like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, and LeBron James. But they weren't just influencers, they were the embodiment of the Just Do It mindset. They stood for resilience, discipline, and excellence. Then came 2018 when Nike featured Colin Kaepernick in a campaign that sparked worldwide attention. Was it controversial? Yes. Was it bold? Absolutely. But more importantly, it was authentic. Sales surged, conversations erupted, the brand didn't play it safe, and it paid off for them. I want you to pay close attention to everything we've unpacked here, not just because it's Nike or because it's famous, but because it's a living roadmap for how you too can build something that connects, resonates, and lasts. If you take this lesson seriously, you won't just sell your products anymore, but you will lead in your industry. You will mean more to your audience and your customers, and that's what legendary brands are made of. These insights I'm sharing with you is exactly what corporations pay thousands for, so don't sleep on this. And at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and like this video. Join the community, let's all grow together. Everywhere you turn, from TV ads to magazine pages to Twitter posts, you saw the same message. Just do it. No matter the year, the platform, or celebrity, Nike never broke character. That's how it became more than a line and became a lifestyle. Let's be clear, Nike's Just Do It campaign wasn't just inspiring. It was a marketing earthquake. It didn't just shake up the sneaker industry, it redefined what branding could do. Now let's talk numbers a bit, because the result, it was insane. Before the campaign, Nike held just 18% of the US athletic footwear market. Not bad, but nothing revolutionary. Then came the Just Do It campaign, and boom, within just a few years, that number jumped to 43%. That's almost half the market share in the athletic footwear industry. Nike didn't just climb the ladder, they built the ladder, stood on it, and waved from there. From $800 million in sales as at 1988 to over $9.2 billion by 1998. That is not a boost, that is a brand metamorphosis. But it wasn't just about dollars and decimals. Nike went from being that sneaker company to being a global symbol for perseverance, empowerment, and self-belief. They weren't selling shoes anymore, they began selling limitless potential. People saw themselves in their campaigns, in the grit, in the failure, and in their comeback. And here's the real genius. Years later, even decades later, the message still holds. Nike has continued to evolve the Just Do It mantra through new faces, new courses, and new stories. So what did Just Do It really do? It changed Nike's fortune, it changed consumer behavior, and it changed the entire marketing landscape. Today, it's a gold standard for how to emotionally engage people and build a brand that actually means something, because Nike didn't just create a slogan, it created a movement. You want to build something that lasts? Take it from Nike. Don't just say something that matters, and say it consistently. That is what people will remember, and that is what people will share to others, and that is what actually turns buyers to believers. And so if you enjoy this story and stories like this, kindly subscribe and comment. Also share this video to your friends and family. You never can tell, it might be making somebody's day. Thank you so much for watching. See you on my next one.